These are the examples for the perpendicular bisector or the midpoint. Okay, please understand that this construction will construct a perpendicular bisector and will also help you find the midpoint of a line segment. So that's what we're going to do in this first example. It says label the midpoint R of segment AB. So our anchor goes to one endpoint, and as long as your compass is just a little bit more than halfway, where you think half is, you're good to start. Okay, you're going to make one arc here. Your compass stays the same size, and we switch where our anchor's at. It goes to the other endpoint, and you're going to make a similar arc. Okay, now with our straight edge, if you see, kind of see a fish here, you're going to connect the head and essentially the tail of the fish and just make a little mark right here that intersects the line segment. This point is the midpoint of segment AB. Okay, we wanted to call it point R, and then we need to signify that R is the midpoint with those congruent marks. Okay, number two, we're going to take the same approach. Okay, anchor on an endpoint a little bit more than halfway. We make an arc. Same size, move our anchor. We make another arc. Okay, but in this one, we want the perpendicular bisector, and we want it to be line segment QR. And so I'm just going to label this intersection point here as Q, this intersection point as R, and then we have to show that this is perpendicular and a bisector. Okay, that right angle symbol shows they're perpendicular. This shows that we have this line segment is being bisected. Okay. Number three, find the segment that is half the length of QR. So again, half should tell you, that should clue you into either a bisector or midpoint. Okay. So again, anchor on an endpoint. We make our compass a little bit more than halfway with an arc. Keep our compass the same size and switch endpoints. Another arc. We connect the head and the tail of the fish. Okay, and since we want just segment QS that is half the length of SR, we can just label this point as S and then signify that this part is the same as that part. They're congruent because now QS is exactly half the length of QR. Okay. Find the length of the segment RP that is 1.5 times as long as RS, and apparently I can't type. Let's make RP 1.5 times the length of QR. Okay, now 1, that means we're going to copy a line segment. Okay, so I'll start with that. All right, down here, I'm going to start with a ray that's pretty long, okay, because we're not just going to have one of these, we're going to have 1.5. All right. And so I will go ahead and copy this line segment down here. Okay, that's my 1. Okay, but and a half means that I'm going to have to find the length of half of QR that I have already. Okay, the point that is halfway between both endpoints is the midpoint, so I'm just going to mark the endpoint here. I'm sorry, the midpoint. Okay. And then I want to copy half of this onto what I've already copied there. So we wanted segment RP. My point P is going to be there after one whole QR plus a half QR. Okay,